Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to discuss concrete construction processes. As we all know that concrete is a very important phase in the construction project, whether it is the concreting of foundation, concreting of column or concreting of slab. Special care must be taken into account while carrying out the concreting process. So what is concreting process? What are the steps involved in this concreting process? In this video, we are going to discuss these steps one by one. These are also going to be very important for you because different technical terms will be discussed in these videos, and it is also important from interview point of view because a question is asked during interview, that is what is difference between compaction and consolidation, what is finishing, curing, what is mixing, and what most importantly what is concrete process or what is concreting chain. So guys, you are requested to please watch the complete video to better understanding of the topic, and if you are new to my channel, you are requested to please subscribe it and don't forget to press the bell icon to get videos updated. So let's start our today's topic. First one is mixed design for concrete. This is the first step in concreting process. The first and most important step in the process of concreting is to determine the ingredients, and that will make up the concrete and their proportions. There are many variables to consider, including cement, aggregate size and type of cement and aggregate, and the amount of water and the mineral and admixtures required for the mixed designs, because you will have to obtain the desired properties from this concrete. So the ratio and proportions of these ingredients must be determined in this process. While a good mixed design can still result in inadequate or poor quality concrete if it is not executed correctly. Now guys, this is very important step because if the proportions and properties of ingredients of concrete are not determined, the proper result will not be obtained, and a bad mix design will of course always give poor results. Now during mixed design for concrete, main things to be considered is, first one is loads that must be supported, and the workability of concrete must be considered, and environmental conditions must also be considered, and surface wear is considered during the first step, that is mixed design for concrete. Okay, we will discuss these 4 points one by one. First one is loads that must be supported by that concrete. Concrete can be made with a variety of strengths, so this is often the starting place for the mixed design. Since the cost of concrete scales rather closely what its strength, one does not want to make the concrete stronger than it needs to be. Okay, so there is no need to design the concrete than the required strength of the concrete. However, if the application will only be supporting relatively small loads, it is usually not a good idea to specify weak concrete. Okay, because weak concrete almost always lacks durability. For low load applications, the quality of the concrete is determined by other factors such as resistance or freezing or wear resistance. The second point must be considered during the mixed design of concrete is workability. The workability that is required depends primarily on how the concrete is to be placed. Okay, and concrete can be poured, pumped, and even sprayed into the place, and this will affect the workability that is needed. Other factors such as the shape of the mold, the rebar spacing, and the equipment available at the site for consolidating the fresh concrete after it is placed must also be considered. So during designing the workability or the water cement ratio, you must keep in mind the method of concreting, which I told you here, that it could be poured, concrete can be poured, concrete can be pumped, or it can even be sprayed. So these are the few factors which should be considered during deciding the workability of the concrete, and also the shape of the molds, the spacing between the bars, and the equipment available at the site for compaction of the concrete must also be considered. And workability is usually defined by the slump, which is the tendency for fresh concrete tends to spread out under its own weight when placed on a flat surface. Now this is a very vast topic. What is slump? What are its types? It is also discussed in one of my videos. I will share the link in the description. Please also watch that video. The third thing which must be considered during mixed design for concrete is environmental conditions. If the concrete will be exposed to severe conditions, then this may well determine the necessary concrete quality rather than the applied loads. In cold weather location, the concrete must be able to resist freezing. Okay, it must be able to withstand the corrosive effects of salt. Underground applications must be able to resist the ingress of moisture and aggressive species from the soil. For almost any type of condition or mode of attack, the most effective defense is to keep the water cement low. Okay. The fourth thing which must be considered during mixed design for concrete is surface wear. For some applications, the physical loads tend to wear away the concrete instead of breaking it. For roads, parking garages, driveways and industrial floors, the hardness and wear resistance of the top layer of concrete will be determined how long the structure lasts. Okay. The second step involved in concreting process is mixing. Mixing of concrete is very important step for achieving good final properties, and one of that can be quite difficult without right equipment. Mixing distributes the aggregate evenly throughout the cement paste, ensures that all the cement has been fully saturated in water and removes large air voids. So the purpose of mixing is to evenly distribute the ingredients and make a homogeneous solution or make a homogeneous mixture of these ingredients. In addition, mixing breaks up agglomerated clusters of cement particles and allows air entertaining admixtures to generate the correct air void system. Now this is going to very important. There are 2 points, that is undermixing and overmixing. Undermixing leaves large flaws and thus results in inferior strength, while overmixing wastes time and energy, can destroy entrained air voids. The lower the workability, the more mixing energy and mixing time is required. The third step involved in concreting process is placing. Once the concrete has been adequately mixed, it must be placed into the formwork that define its final position and shape. If the concrete is to be reinforced, the rebar must already be in place so the concrete can flow around it. If the concrete mixing truck can be located close to and higher than the site, then the concrete can be poured directly into the forms. In cases where there is not possible, the concrete can be transferred in buckets by a crane or by wheelbarrows. When this is impractical due to the distance required or the size of the job, the fresh concrete can be pumped through a system of pipes or hoses to the site by special concrete pumps. Concrete that is to be pumped has more stringent requirements for workability. If the concrete is too dry, it will not be pumped. Okay. If it is too wet, it will tend to segregate. Okay. So the proper placing equipment should be present at the site. It could be by concreting pump, or it could be by wheelbarrows or by buckets. Now this is very important term, segregation. Segregation can also occur if the concrete falls in the formwork too quickly, as large aggregate particles will tend to be driven downward. The fourth step involved in concreting process is consolidation or compaction. Once the concrete is in place, it should be consolidated to remove large air voids developed during the placement and to make sure that concrete has flowed into all of the corners. This process is also called compacting. Over consolidation can lead to segregation and bleeding, but under consolidation is more common, resulting in less than optimal properties. So care should be taken that the compaction is homogeneous and uniform. Both over consolidation and under consolidation will result in bad concrete. Okay, care must be taken during consolidation and compaction. The two most common methods of consolidation are vibration and roller compaction. First one is vibration. Vibration is mechanical process that transfers pulses of shear energy to the concrete, usually by a probe that is inserted in several inches into the concrete. As you can see over here, the man is holding a probe that is attached to the some generator type, and it vibrates. Okay, due to vibration, it sends the pulses of shear energy to the concrete, and it place the concrete uniformly and remove the air voids from the concrete. Each pulse of shear energy momentarily liquefies the concrete, allowing it to flow very freely. This is the standard consolidation method for general construction projects. The second method of compaction is roller compaction. Okay, roller compaction is simpler and most cost-effective technique that is suitable for roads and very large mass concrete structures such as dams. Okay, now this is very important that the first one was vibration. Vibration is typically carried out for concreting of columns, footings, and slabs, etc. Roller compaction is carried out for roads and large mass concrete such as dam structures, and a specified vehicle with a heavy roller on the front, a similar side to the road construction zone, is driven over the fresh concrete to drive into a place and remove excess air. As you can see over here in this picture, a roller is being rolled over the road like the roller that compacts the asphalt. The fresh concrete used is very stiff so that it can support the weight of the machine as it passes over. The fifth step involved in construction or concreting process is finishing. For concrete floors and pavements, the appearance, smoothness, and durability of surface is particularly important. Finishing refers to any final treatment of the concrete surface after it has been consolidated to achieve the desired properties. And this can as simple as pushing a wide blade over a fresh concrete surface to make it flat, which is called as screeding. Okay, as you can see over here, the person is moving a wide blade over the fresh concrete to make it in a uniform level. This process is called screeding. And then floating and troweling is a process of compacting and smoothing the surface, which is performed as the concrete is starting to harden. After the concrete has hardened, mechanical finishing can be used to roughen the surface, to make it less slippery, or to polish the surface as a decorative step to bring out the beauty of a special aggregate such as marble chips, etc. The sixth and most important step in the concreting process is curing. Once concrete has been placed and consolidated, it must be allowed to cure properly to develop good final properties. As the concrete hardens and gains strength, it becomes less and less vulnerable. Okay, so the critical time period is the first hours and days after it is placed. Okay, so special care must be taken during the first hours and first 7 days, you can say. This is very critical for concrete. Proper curing of concrete generally comes down to two factors: keeping it moist and keeping it supported. What is the main purpose of curing? Is to keeping it moist, to keep the concrete moist, and keeping it supported, that you must not remove the supports of the vertical members or horizontal members before a specified time, because concrete have not gained the specified strength to bear its own weight or load, so it must be kept supported. Hydration of cement, as the word itself implies, involves reaction with water. To cure properly, the cement paste must be fully saturated with water. If the relative humidity level inside the concrete drops to nearly 90%, the hydration reaction will slow, and by 80% they will stop altogether. Not only will this prevent the concrete from gaining its full strength, but it will also generate internal stresses that can cause cracking. To keep fresh and young concrete moist, it can be covered with plastic or damp fabric to prevent evaporation. Now there are different methods of curing. If you want me to make a video on methods of curing, let me know in the comment box. I will make a detailed video on the different methods of curing, okay? Or sprayed, as discussed over here, to make the concrete moist or to keep the concrete moist, it can be covered with plastic or damp fabric to prevent evaporation or sprayed periodically with water. Spraying is particularly helpful when the water cement ratio of the concrete is low, because the original mixed water is not enough for the concrete to hydrate fully. Now spraying is a most you can say widely used method, and it is very good for concrete to make its hydration process, to complete its hydration process. When concrete is placed using formwork, there is generally a desire to remove the formwork as quickly as possible to continue the construction process. However, if this is done too soon, if the formwork is removed too soon, the fresh concrete will deform under its own weight. As I mentioned before, the formwork or the supports must not be removed before the specified time. If it is done too soon, the concrete will deform under its own weight. This will lead to a loss of dimensional tolerances, cracking, or even a complete collapse. Similar problems can occur if loads are applied to the surface of floor too early. Okay, the weather plays an important role in the curing process. Now, what could be the weather conditions for curing? First one is hot windy weather. Hot windy weather leads to rapid evaporation, and thus particular care must be taken to keep the concrete moist. And if the concrete weather is cold, the cold weather causes the concrete to harden much more slowly than hot weather. Okay, this delays the construction process but leads to better concrete in long run. Okay, because the hydration products develop differently at different temperatures. If fresh concrete freezes, however, it will likely to be destroyed beyond repair. Okay, if concrete starts freezes, then you cannot repair the concrete. Special care must be taken into account during the concreting process, that temperature should be kept in mind for cold weathers and for hot weathers as well. So that's all for today. If you want to learn more from me, then let me know in the comment box, and don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon to get more video updates. That's all for today.